Very good evening to you and welcome to the weekend edition of Primetime News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus. More details will come up on Sports First, but first a look at the headlines.
We will raid Dambulla if justice is not done for the big onion farmers. A warning from the JVP Farmers Association. Sri Lankan Airlines suspends pilot who caused a 15-hour delay. MP Bandulaguna Waraduna resigns as organizer for Homagama.
Mama තීන්දුවක් කරන් තියනවා ඉල්ලා ස්වීමේ ලිපිය ජනාධිපතිවරයාට
අපි ඉවත් කිරීමේ ප්‍රමාදයක් වෙලා තිබුණේ හැම කැමැත්තෙන් අයින් වෙච්ච එක ගැන අපි බොහොම සතුටු වෙනවා.
Hematology specialist at the Badulla General Hospital prevented from treating patients. An Action TV expose.
Newsfirst reported yesterday that a Sri Lankan Airlines flight from Frankfurt to Colombo was delayed by 15 hours. It came to light today that a pilot was under the influence when he reported to the airport, causing the delay. Sri Lankan Airlines announced today that the pilot has been suspended.
Sri Lankan Airlines flight UL 554 was to depart Frankfurt in Germany at 3:20 p.m. the day before yesterday. 259 passengers were travelling from Frankfurt to Katunayaka. However, when one of the pilots underwent a breathalyzer test when he reported to the airport, it was evident that he was under the influence of alcohol. As a result, the flight was delayed by 15 hours and was flown back by the pilot on the Katunayaka-Frankfurt flight.
First they say that the flight will start at 8 p.m. and then we go to the gate and they say tomorrow morning 6 a.m. The flight will start. Yeah, and now we are here. We get each 20 euro for food in the restaurant and get a 5-star hotel to sleep with dinner and breakfast.
The flight delay.
They first told us that the flight was delayed due to an urgent situation. Later they said that the pilot fell. In another 3 hours they informed us to get ready to leave at 6 in the morning the next day.
Issuing a statement today, Sri Lankan Airlines noted that the safety of passengers and crew are of paramount consideration to the airline and would not be compromised under any circumstances. Sri Lankan said it had a strict substance abuse policy and assured the public in a statement that it would thoroughly investigate the matter and lend its fullest cooperation to law enforcement authorities in Germany. Sri Lankan Airlines noted that the pilot had been suspended pending an internal inquiry. As a result of the delay, Sri Lankan Airlines is compelled to compensate each of the passengers 600 euros under European Union regulations. Accordingly, the airlines will have to pay each passenger a sum of approximately 96,960 rupees each.
The cess tax on imported big onions has been increased by 15 rupees per kilogram.
The tax revision is in effect from midnight yesterday. The cess has been increased from 25 rupees per kilogram of big onions to 40 rupees. Authorities say the decision was taken considering the influx of local produce to the market. Nevertheless, farmers lament that the market price at present is not sufficient. Farmers claim that while it costs between 65 to 70 rupees to produce a kilogram of big onions, this is not reflected in the market. There is no relief. A sack of fertilizer costs between 2,500 and 3,300 rupees. Fuel is even more expensive. In truth, although the tax has been imposed, the price is still between 60 and 70 rupees. We cannot earn even 10 or 15 rupees with this price. The price is too low. It has to increase by about 20 rupees for the farmer to be saved. A large sum of money is spent. It costs about 70, 72 or 65 rupees to produce a kilogram of big onions. The 15 rupee profit is not enough. Farmers are not bringing their produce to the market because they cannot sell it at this price. The price is still only about 70 rupees.
Meanwhile, the JVP-affiliated All Ceylon Peasants Federation has warned that it will take action if the government fails to prepare the appropriate market for onion farmers.
I warn Minister Harrison not to continue to play with the farmers in this way. What have they done this time? When the onion farmer is harvesting his produce, they import and stockpile onions. Do not attempt to make decisions based on your commission. Why is the government continuing to distance the farmer from cultivating onions when the country is capable of being self-sufficient in this crop? They receive a commission even when importing big onions from abroad. The cabinet of ministers in our country is in fact a cabinet of Mudalalis. These Mudalalis get together and submit cabinet papers for each other. We will give the government time until the 30th of this month to do justice to the big onion farmers. If they do not do so, then we will raid the Dambulla town on the 31st.
දඹුල්ල නගරය වටලනවා.
There is nothing to raid. Namal Karunaratne can come there whenever he wants. There is no problem with that. I must note that we are not hesitating at all when it comes to protecting our onion farmers.
MP Bandulu Gunawardena said today that he will be stepping down from his post as Homagama electorate organizer for the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party immediately responded to the parliamentarian's decision.
A group of locals in the Homagama area staged a protest today against the move to remove the foundation stone which was laid by the previous government for the construction of the National School of Business Management in Pitipana, Homagama. Parliamentarian Bandula Gunawardena, who arrived at the location of the protest, announced his decision here.
Sri Lanka Nidas.
While a leader of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is speaking to the world as the leader of the country, I have been unable to contribute to the people of Homagama with at least a ball of twine over the past year and a half. While I was patient about it, some other people who do not even give a single thought to such things are the ones who take decisions on development. I have taken a decision to hand over my letter of resignation from my post as Sri Lanka Freedom Party organizer for the Homagama electorate. I must now go and write my letter of resignation to the President. I will not change my mind about my decision. He was known to be the weakest organizer in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, but I suppose there was a delay in us removing him from that post, so he probably would have known that he was going to be removed, which led to his frustration. He has not established a single branch committee. He has not done a single thing to organize the party. Even at the previous presidential election, he did not engage in any political activity. So him resigning from that post is not much of an issue for us. We are actually quite pleased that he has voluntarily stepped down. Even if he didn't step down, he would have eventually been removed. It is just a matter of time. He must either stand for the party or else he will be removed.
Addressing the committee meeting of the Heva Hatta electorate of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister S.P. Dissanayake further elaborated on the current political situation.
I left the party at one instance when Mahinda Rajapaksa came to my place and invited me to join the party again. Senambi was there. But when I joined the government again, he did not do anything, he said. But that is a different story. The SLFPers do not like the way the party is moving forward. It is because this is not a government individually governed by the SLFP. But remember that those in the UNP do not like it even more. But we did not have another option than forming a government combining these two parties. My apologies, but former President Mahinda Rajapaksa should be held responsible for this. If he had let Chamal Rajapaksa be the Prime Ministerial candidate, President Maithripala Sirisena would have led that election campaign. If that had happened, he would have won about 120 seats and formed a government. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa usually calls me twice a week. Every time he calls me, I tell him that we must all unite.
The United National Party's membership promotion campaign got underway in Pitabaddara, Mathura today.
Today's program was attended by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and other party seniors. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe, who was touring the area, acknowledged the ideas of the people he met. Thereafter, the Prime Minister addressed the gathering during the campaign. The United National Party is a party that moves forward. We do not go backwards. I realized in the years 2013 and 14 that if the Rajapaksa regime had to be defeated, all of us had to unite. There was the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Tamil National Alliance and trade unions which weren't with us. A group of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party alongside Madam Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga wanted to take this forward. I believed that the Rajapaksa regime can only be defeated if we all get together and that Mahinda Rajapaksa can never be a part of it. So we fearlessly told the General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Maithripala Sirisena, to be our presidential candidate. He made a massive commitment and became our presidential candidate. We formed a government. Everyone said it would fall apart, but I need not say who did fall. Now from here, we are in the run-up to our 70th anniversary. We will show how you must make your way to the Campbell grounds. Others could not fill up Campbell grounds. So shall we? Well fine, let's fill it up. We will not only fill up the grounds, let's also fill up the road surrounding it. That is the day the media will see how to bring a crowd.
Addressing a seminar in Tangol yesterday, leader of the JVP, Amrakumar Dissanayake, expressed his views on the United National Party.
Remember how it was when the United National Party was trying to come into power. On the day the party's working committee convenes, police security is dispatched opposite Sirikota and the road leading to Sirikota is carpeted. The UNP came into power by playing a game. They did not come into power by organizing the people. Ranil Wickremesinghe needs to understand that they did not come into power because of his role or his intervention.
The recent report of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, makes several revelations regarding transactions at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the previous government. According to the report, the CBSL had spent a sum of 1,396 million rupees in a single year on foreign consultation.
The report on 19 public institutions examined by COPE contains information on several transactions at the central bank investigated by the committee. The COPE report notes that in 2014, the CBSL paid a total of 1,396 million rupees to 3 foreign consultants. This sum amounts to 68% of the budget allocated for consultation and professional services in that year. Furthermore, the report notes that while the CBSL had lent 6,100 million rupees to failed financial institutions in the recent past, the bank had failed to secure the funds when these institutions were liquidated. The report adds that while the CBSL had decided to charge 317.1 million rupees, having written off the debt arrears by September 2014, the bank had only secured 18.4 million rupees of the sum. The COPE report also states that pay-as-you-earn taxes to be paid by central bank employees had been paid by bank funds instead. According to the report, this amounted to 128.03 million rupees in 2012 and 159.04 million rupees in 2013. COPE also raised questions regarding 2 buildings purchased in foreign countries using bank funds. A sum of 6 million rupees had been spent to purchase a building in New York City in the United States. A further 122 million rupees had been spent to purchase a building in Brazil. The committee notes that this is a violation of the Monetary Law Act.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka can make such an investment only if this investment is beneficial to the bank. For example, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has the right and power to acquire buildings within Sri Lanka in order to establish branches. But the purchase of buildings in New York City and Rio de Janeiro is questionable given the low level of economic activity with these states. Intellectuals who are experts on matters pertaining to the Central Bank accept that this should not happen.
A legal lacuna has arisen which obstructs certain inquiries carried out by the Auditor General. The situation has come to light with several institutions informing the Auditor General that he does not have the power to audit their institutions in line with constitutional provisions. Legal experts say the situation has come about as a result of differences in the English and Sinhala language versions of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
The 19th Amendment mentions Article 154 of the Constitution, which details the role of the Auditor General. According to the English language version of the amendment, the Auditor General is empowered to audit all institutions where the state has an ownership share of 50% or more. This has been correctly translated in the Tamil language version of the amendment. However, the Sinhala language version states that the Auditor General may audit institutions where the state has an ownership share of more than 50%.
There's a problem with the interpretation. This problem of interpretation leads to a question of implementation where a person can claim that the Auditor General does not have the power. The easiest way to resolve this is for Parliament to grant approval. As per the current constitution, under Article 154(3), the Parliament can confer any duties on the Auditor General. Under this provision, the power to audit specific corporations can be conferred, or it can be conferred as a public right.
This lacuna in the legalese could have a detrimental effect on the audit function in certain corporations. Nevertheless, the 19th Amendment also contains provisions with regard to inconsistencies in translation. But while the Act notes that in the event of inconsistencies between the Tamil and Sinhala language versions, the Sinhala language version stands as law, it does not make any mention of the English language version. Responding to inquiries from Newsfirst, the Auditor General noted that talks are underway with the Attorney General in order to resolve the issue in interpretation.
The Act, which introduces the 19th Amendment, states that in the event of an inconsistency between the Sinhala and Tamil translations, the Sinhala version stands. The President himself has said that the Sinhala version itself is a translation. There is no mention that the English version of the Act applies to either Sinhala or Tamil versions. While I wish to say to the Auditor General that he must not raise unnecessary issues when both the English and Tamil versions have directly and practically detailed his role, I also wish to remind him that the cornerstone of interpretation is to think intelligently and truthfully and not to aggravate any flaws through artificial interpretation.
The Ministry of Defence says that no steps have been taken to remove any army camps in the eastern province.
Issuing a statement, the ministry said no camps in the Trincomalee, Ampara and Batticaloa districts of the eastern province have been removed. The statement also noted that the camps were placed in those regions with proper planning to ensure national security in the islands. Furthermore, the Ministry of Defence notes that considering intelligence reports and the current peaceful environment, checkpoints operated from the camps are being undertaken in accordance with the new security plan.
The Senagama Community Hall in Lunugambehera Hambantota was declared open today under a program to rebuild 1,500 villages.
The community hall was constructed for the people of Senapura village in Lunugambehera Hambantota with funds of the Ministry of Housing and Construction. The country, which was split during the Rajapaksa government, has been brought together once again. The people who call themselves the joint opposition are in fact the joint curse. How can the members of the joint curse say that we are dividing the country? We will not divide the country under any circumstance. I very proudly say that our government has united this country, which was once split into pieces. Our leaders have found solutions in a way to protect the war heroes of our country against every allegation that has been levelled against us.
If you need to have a tooth removed, you would go to a dentist. If you have an ailment related to the ear, nose or throat, you would visit an ENT specialist. If your ailment is to do with your muscles and bones, you visit an orthopedic specialist. Similarly, patients with hematology-related illnesses or blood disorders would, barring any complications, ideally be treated by a hematologist. However, it appears that an authority or authorities in the Sri Lankan health sector have a different opinion. Up next is our investigative journalism segment, Action TV.
Blood disorder patients registered at the Badula General Hospital have formed an association and are engaged in a struggle. These patients are engaged in a struggle to secure treatment from the specialist doctor most suited to treat their ailments.
There are blood disorders which grow to become cancers. All these disorders were treated by the specialist doctor. But now they have stopped her from treating patients and the hospital director is transferring us to other wards.
According to the hospital director, the decision was made after considering verbal instructions issued in person at the Badula General Hospital by the Director General of Health Services.
All these instructions were given before all the specialist doctors at the hospital. Subsequently, I was informed that the specialist doctor had referred her patients to the correct doctors at the OPD. As far as I am aware, there is no association regarding blood disorders at the hospital. As the head of this institution, if there is such an association, then I too must be made aware.
However, speaking to Action TV, the specialist doctor, a hematologist, noted that she did not make the decision to transfer her patients to other doctors. If this is true, then the transferring of patients with blood disorders to doctors who are not specialists in hematology is in violation of medical ethics. Regardless of whether or not there exists an association of patients with blood disorders at the hospital, these people have a right to receive treatment from the specialist doctor of their choice. If it is wrong for the hematologist at the Badula General Hospital to treat patients with blood disorders, then a complaint must be lodged with the Sri Lanka Medical Council. At the same time, if a doctor receives specialist training at a cost of about 6 million rupees of the taxpayers' money and is then prevented from treating patients with diseases in which they specialized in, one wonders why they received the specialized training in the first place. Who is the person that arrived at the conclusion that hematologists cannot treat patients with blood disorders? On what premise did they reach this conclusion? Minister of Health.
Gamadda 100 days. The villagers of Serukkan in Kilinochi live amid many hardships. For these villagers, finding even a drop of water to drink in this arid zone is a challenge. Villagers travel great distances to find water. The foundation was laid today to resolve this problem through the Newsfirst Gamadda 100-day initiative with the initiation of the Serukkan village drinking water scheme. Representatives of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited and the District Secretary of Kilinochi were among the gathering today for the laying of the foundation stone.
This is a good initiative. There was discrimination everywhere. A singular lady from Nugegoda is the person who funded this project. Compassion has no limits, truth has no obstacles. We resolve your issues. This brings about reconciliation as well. We will not stop in Serukuvilla. We will resolve the problems faced by other villagers too.
Newsfirst is not only a news provider, it is an institution that looks into problems faced by the public and provides solutions. We must remember the service provided by Newsfirst during disaster situations like the tsunami. In truth, this project may be a small one, but it brings light to the lives of the people. We visited many villages with the intention of giving a voice to the voiceless. This enabled us to lay these problems before the country. A person travelling on the A9 highway may think that Kilinochi is a developed area, but this is not the reality. If you travel 50 meters inside, you can uncover the true standard of living of the people.
While the villagers themselves are vested with the responsibility of maintaining this water scheme, the Gamadda Savi organization, made up of village representatives, was established for this purpose.
We prayed to the gods for water. We used to travel several kilometers for water. We are extremely happy that this project has commenced.
Gamadda 100 days.
The Rio 2016 Olympic Games will draw to a close tomorrow morning in Sri Lanka time. We leave you this evening with a look back at some of the thrills and spills, scenes of joy, sorrow and celebration which only come around once every 4 years. Good night.